Tuesday, and I talk about alternative topics. As a woman, a mom, a person that's in the career field, I come with my beautiful resume of accomplishments, but I'm a huge supporter and consumer of alternative medicine like kratom, CBD, marijuana, support LSD, shrooms, and all kinds of things. In this video, I'm gonna tap on some personal things based around my mental health, which we all struggle with at one point in our lives or another to basic degrees. And so for me, a big chunk of my recent pursuit of kind of mind-altering alternatives is purely to aid my PTSD as much as possible. So kratom was not something I took strictly for depression or anxiety. I mainly sought after it because of the pain relieving properties, because I live with my cervical neuropathy illness, degenerative disc disease, and so looking for something that helps with pain was my priority with kratom. But that kind of opened the door to other things like marijuana, LSD, shrooms, just these other questionable things that are so taboo in my field of work and around my type of community and demographics. And so since I started my channel, or restarted my channel, and started sharing my personal thoughts on all this, I started to hopefully break those brick walls around the stigma of all that it entails. Like people in my work, fellow educated people some are doctors, some are very accomplished. And to see someone like me support something like that is kind of opening the door for that broader conversation. But in this video, we're going to be talking about something personal and a little bit more vulnerable, and that is my search for helping my PTSD, which I was diagnosed with a couple years ago throughout when I started my spiritual awakening journey. And really what that is me trying to go back to my roots, go back to my childhood, which involved some really heavy shadow work, which EMDR is specific for helping people with traumatic situations in their past, and it kind of helps them go back to heal those, which is very similar to shadow work for other spiritualists that are in a kind of my realm of things. When I started doing that, I was already a huge fan of natural alternatives. Once I started seeking, okay, I would like to try to naturally heal my PTSD. Kratom really doesn't do it for me. It's great for a little mood boost, but I take such a small, decent amount for the pain. I needed something a lot more stronger, but not as strong as like huge psychedelic trips, because I can't have that either. I'm a mother, I'm a professional, I have to function. So it took me a year or so to really broaden my mind, expand, and try to find something that will help someone with PTSD, but not completely throw you down. And even if it was a small session, it's still something I was not prepared for, not really seeking after. So if anything, I was looking for microdosing. So that's when I started microdosing on LSD, very, very small amounts, so you avoid the psychoactive properties and strictly benefit from the depression and anxiety and all those things. But even still, that didn't dive deep enough to heal my PTSD. And to tap on a little bit of why I have PTSD, I am a wife of a soldier. I am surrounded by a lot of men and women of war who have PTSD as well. So when I was diagnosed with it, I was kind of like, no, that's reserved for people who really have traumatic moments in their lives. I felt like I was cheating. I was claiming something that was reserved for people who fought their life and gave their life for this country. My doctor, my therapist started to dissect that mindset that I had and really helped me understand more about post-traumatic stress disorder. He heavily knew my past. He was very knowledgeable. I was always open to those traumatic experiences, and they were so bad that it is equal to someone in a war zone sacrificing their life when it comes to a traumatic moment. Yes, I've almost died. Yes, I've had these moments were so intense. So they helped me unpack, and then I kind of accepted the diagnosis of having PTSD. Now it ranges from my childhood up to my divorce of my first husband. And it makes me think about so many other men and women who have survived schizophrenic, narcissistic ex and lived to tell the tale, that so many of us probably do have minor versions or extreme or legit, PTSD. Being around anyone who's a schizophrenic person, it really can traumatize you, especially if you tried to stick it out with this person. If you tried to work with this person despite the mental games that they play with you, that will oftentimes leave you with PTSD. Because those triggers, those things, those mental games can really fuck with your head, and it'll affect future relationships because you stuck it out for perhaps too long, and it left you with a lot of baggage to heal. So there are some moments in my mind that I just can't erase that really affected my relationships in general. Things that I'll never be able to, things that you wish you could turn back time, but you can't. And they're like serious things. Like you would, not that this is even equal, but someone who, you say goodbye to someone and they go off and they have a car crash and they die. And those people wish they could turn back time so bad and tell them not to go. It's that kind of intensity when you have those kind of traumatic experiences to heal through. I didn't want to pack on a bunch of SSRIs. I didn't want to be on a bunch of drugs. I see what it does to a lot of people, and oftentimes it's great for many. It's not, obviously the doctors know what they're doing. It is an amazing option for many people, but for me in particular, I actually took some genetic testing to find out which meds are perfect for my body, and I'm waiting for the results, and I'm super excited. It was not cheap. I had to pay out of pocket. I think it's just open to the public, but the public still has to pay out of pocket for it. But you can get genetic testing to find out which prescriptions will work for you so you don't waste your time with trial and error. I sought after alternatives, and that's when I latched on to that LSD option. And I was very hesitant because of my professional side of things, being in an upbringing, being a kind of spiritual woman that's a combination of Christian / astrology, but the origins of astrology, not what it's become in this Western type of shit. So I'm kind of like a spiritualist, and those tend to be more open to these alternatives. But at the same time, I have a professional career I have to look at. I have to be smart about these things that I entertain. But when I started microdosing on LSD, that's when I started to notice a positive turnaround. And that went on for a few months, but it was still not enough to heal and take care of my PTSD from my first marriage and a few instances in my childhood. I had to expand my horizon, and fortunately Oregon is finally opened up and it's legal to try what they call ketamine, whatever. But it's psychedelics that have been proven to help with PTSD. I am so excited to get started on this trial. It's small amounts, so it's right up my alley. You don't get a full-blown trip, and it's been proven to help people with PTSD, especially veterans. And so it's kind of how I heard about it, through the VA. My husband goes to the VA all the time as a retired vet. So even they encourage it, which I had to jump on board. And I'm gonna do a video series on that experience, take you along with me, see how it works for me and my kind of situation and my background. Because everyone's different, and I get a lot of people that are in my kind of demographics, and they have to be careful with their career and just their life and exposing these other things into their life or bringing them into their life they're very selective. So meeting someone like me that's kind of in their situation really helps them broaden their mind to other possibilities, which is always nice. And that's kind of why I started this, because there are other professional women in corporate office, in the corporate field, that are just too afraid to even mention that they want to try it or that they are trying it, because it's just taboo. You're not considered a person of quality, or you're not considered respectable if you entertain those kind of alternative medicine. That just made me scream louder on the rooftop, because I am all those things and more, and I enjoy alternative medicine, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm hoping with the consumption of these alternatives, micro-dosing with LSD, kratom, which does help with the mind, but not as much. It's really mainly for the pain is what I consume kratom for. And then incorporating this ketamine, I look forward to seeing some amazing results. But tackling PTSD and the stigma, I kind of wanted to just talk all about it in this video, and my thoughts on how it does apply for people like us in my situation, but also to men and women who fight and give their life for this country and go through really traumatic experiences. It's really those traumatic experiences that will make or break somebody, and we all take things in differently. We're all either more sensitive to certain things, or whatever it is. We shouldn't be judging which one is more traumatic than the other, and that's kind of what I was doing, but for their defense. I just felt like I wasn't at war seeing people shot in front of me or blown up, so how in the world could I even claim that I would have PTSD when they could definitely? It's just like, it was an insult. I guess that's just my military wife mindset. Understanding the truth about PTSD and really all that it entails really helped me at least to accept the diagnosis and then try to find an alternative, natural alternatives to it. I can't wait to share more on the ketamine process and be sharing those videos with you in the near future. All right, everyone, until my next video, I will talk to you later.